world is not ruled by honesty. It is ruled by perception, by power, and by the courage to use both. Most people spend their lives trying to be liked. A few spend it learning how to be feared, respected, and remembered. Niccolò Machiavelli didn't teach kindness, he taught control. He showed how to win silently, how to command without begging, and how to turn weakness into strategy. So today we step into his mind, not to be cruel, but to be clever. This is how to become a Machiavellian. To become a Machiavellian, one must first understand the power of appearances. Niccolò Machiavelli taught that in the game of influence, morality is not a weapon, it is a costume. It is not necessary to be good, only to appear so. This is not a call to deceit for its own sake, but a recognition of how people truly see the world. The masses do not search for truth. They look at the surface and judge by what they can see. Therefore, the wise man learns to manage how he is perceived. He becomes both actor and director in the theater of power. A Machiavellian knows that the world rewards the illusion of virtue more than virtue itself. Leaders who seem honest are trusted, even when they are not. Those who seem generous are loved, even when their generosity hides ambition. In every society, reputation carries more weight than the unseen truth of character. This is why Machiavelli insisted that one must learn to wear goodness like a robe, clean, radiant, and convincing, while the real mind beneath remains strategic and cold. Appear humble, but think like a ruler. Appear loyal, but never tie your destiny to another. The art lies in balance. Too much disguise and you become false, too little and you are exposed. Every man and woman who seeks influence must face this paradox. People claim to value honesty, but they follow confidence and image. History remembers not those who were pure, but those who were powerful. A Machiavellian accepts this human weakness and uses it without guilt. He understands that perception is power because it shapes the behavior of others. If they believe you are strong, they will obey. If they believe you are moral, they will forgive your actions. If they believe you are wise, they will seek your approval. The appearance becomes reality in their minds. To master appearances, one must study people like a scientist studies nature. Watch what impresses them, what they admire, what they fear. Then reflect it back to them. In politics, in business, even in personal relationships, image decides fate. A calm face can hide chaos, a smile can hide strategy, and a simple word can hide manipulation. The Machiavellian does not lie recklessly, he lies with purpose. His lies are bridges that lead to greater control. His truth is revealed only when it benefits him. Machiavelli's wisdom reveals a darker side of human interaction, but it is not evil, it is realistic. He saw that those who are completely good are crushed by those who are not. The man who refuses to play the game of appearances is often devoured by those who mastered it. Therefore, to survive and win, one must learn to be both lion and fox. The lion shows strength when needed, the fox hides it when it is dangerous to reveal. To appear good while acting wisely is to combine both animals into one formidable being. The true Machiavellian does not seek approval from others. He seeks control over their perception. His virtue is discipline. He never loses composure in public. He never exposes his intentions through emotion. His face is calm even when his mind is burning with calculation. The mask is not a lie. It is armor. Behind it, he makes decisions without sentiment, without the need to justify himself. The appearance of goodness protects him from suspicion, while his hidden wisdom allows him to strike when the time is right. Those who misunderstand Machiavelli think he rejected morality. In truth, he understood its power too well. He saw that society runs on moral appearance, not moral reality. To appear good is to possess a shield. To act wisely is to possess a sword. When combined, the two create an invisible authority. The people will trust you, enemies will underestimate you, and allies will follow you. In this balance lies the first law of becoming a Machiavellian. Master the art of seeming good, and you will be free to act as you must. Power belongs to those who understand the human heart, not those who simply desire control. Machiavelli taught that to rule others, one must first master the forces that move them: fear, ambition, greed, and hope. He who controls fear, controls men. Fear is the most reliable instrument of obedience. for it never fades as easily as love or admiration. Love is fragile. It demands constant effort and can turn into resentment the moment expectations are not met. Fear, however, creates respect that endures as long as the source of power remains visible. The Machiavellian mind does not crave affection. It craves influence, and influence grows from understanding what makes people act. Human nature, as Machiavelli saw it, is driven by self-interest. Every person, no matter how moral they appear, seeks advantage. They may hide it under good manners, faith, or loyalty, but the truth remains. People move toward gain and away from pain. The one who learns to control these two impulses, reward and punishment, becomes a ruler of men. A Machiavellian does not necessarily use cruelty. He uses perception. He makes others believe that his favor is valuable and his anger dangerous. In doing so, he gains command without constant effort. His authority lives in the minds of others. To control people, one must first control their environment. Machiavelli understood that chaos creates opportunity. When men are uncertain, they search for someone decisive. When they are afraid, they obey anyone who promises safety. A clever leader uses fear not to destroy, but to maintain order. Fear becomes a tool, a silent reminder of consequence. When balanced with limited generosity, it produces loyalty built on respect, not dependency. Too much fear turns people desperate, too little, and they grow disobedient. The art lies in maintaining tension. Never enough for rebellion, always enough for control. The Machiavellian also understands the psychology of leadership. People follow those who appear stronger than themselves. They admire certainty, even when it hides deception. To control others, you must first project confidence, even in uncertainty. A steady tone, unbroken eye contact, and calm reaction to chaos make people surrender their judgment to yours. They believe you know something they do not, and in that belief, your power multiplies. It is not force that makes a leader, but perception of strength. A ruler who loses control of his image soon loses control of his people. Machiavelli saw manipulation not as corruption, but as necessity. To him, politics and life were arenas of survival, not morality. If you do not learn to guide emotions, others will guide yours. Those who act purely on feeling are slaves to circumstance. The Machiavellian studies emotion from the outside. He observes, predicts, and influences it. He does not allow anger to decide nor pity to cloud judgment. He remains still while others panic. In that stillness lies the secret of control. People mistake calm for superiority, and they surrender to it willingly. To control fear, one must not only inspire it in others but also master it within oneself. A Machiavellian knows that fear can either sharpen the mind or paralyze it. He uses his fear as information, not weakness. It warns him of danger, but never dictates his actions. When others tremble, he calculates. This composure separates the ruler from the ruled. For most men, fear dictates behavior. For the Machiavellian, it becomes a compass guiding strategic moves. Power is not found in shouting commands or displaying dominance. It lives in subtle influence. The true Machiavellian rarely raises his voice or exposes his intent. He plants ideas, shapes perceptions, and lets others carry out his will, believing it to be their own choice. He controls not bodies, but minds. And once the mind is bound by respect or fear, the body follows naturally. To control others through fear is not cruelty. It is the understanding of how fragile human conviction truly is. Machiavelli's wisdom endures because he exposed what most try to deny. Men do not act from virtue, they act from need. Control the need and you control the man. Machiavelli understood that loyalty is one of the greatest illusions in human affairs. He saw through the fragile promises that men make to one another and recognized that most allegiance lasts only as long as it serves personal interest. Men are ungrateful, fickle, and deceitful. These words are not a condemnation of humanity, but a revelation of how it truly behaves. The Machiavellian accepts this truth without bitterness. He does not rely on affection, vows, or gratitude. Instead, he studies what motivates each person and binds them not through emotion, but through necessity. He does not ask for loyalty. He engineers it. In politics, business, and life, alliances shift like the wind. People stay beside you as long as they gain from your presence. When the gain disappears, so does the loyalty. The Machiavellian never forgets this. He does not trust words spoken in moments of comfort. He watches how people act when their interests are threatened. True loyalty exists only when betrayal costs more than faithfulness. Therefore, a wise ruler or leader builds systems where loyalty is rewarded and betrayal punished, not because men are virtuous, but because they are rational. When the cost of treachery is higher than the reward, loyalty is maintained, at least for as long as it is useful. A Machiavellian does not hate human selfishness, he harnesses it. He understands that people can be led by appealing to their desires. If they crave recognition, he gives them attention. If they seek wealth, he offers opportunity. If they want security, he provides protection. Every loyal follower believes they are gaining something from their devotion. It is not the heart that binds them, it is the transaction. Machiavelli knew that emotions change, but self-interest endures. To master men, one must appeal to what never changes within them, the hunger for advantage. In the court of power, trust is dangerous. The more deeply you trust, the more power you hand to another. The Machiavellian shares secrets only when it benefits him, never from sentiment. He appears open, but keeps his true intentions hidden. He praises others to feed their ego, but never allows admiration to blind him. He gives just enough confidence to make others feel valued, but not enough to make them feel equal. The wise man builds walls of discretion around himself, for once your emotions are exposed, they can be weaponized against you. Loyalty is often a mask for dependence. Many pretend to be devoted when in reality they cling to you because they need something, status, money, or protection. A Machiavellian tests loyalty by removing the benefit and watching who remains. Few ever do. Those who stay may be useful allies, but even then, he trusts them only as far as their interest allows. This awareness does not make him paranoid, it makes him prepared. He never gives anyone complete power to harm him, and he never depends entirely on another's word. Machiavelli's world was one of shifting alliances and hidden motives, yet his insights apply universally. In every organization, friendship, or relationship, loyalty is fragile when it competes with ambition. People betray not because they are evil, but because they fear losing what they desire most. The Machiavellian does not waste energy demanding virtue from others. He builds systems that make loyalty convenient. He rewards obedience immediately and punishes betrayal decisively. Mercy may come later, but only after control is re-established. The wise ruler understands that to expect loyalty from men is to misunderstand their nature. The only loyalty that endures is loyalty to power, and power belongs to the one who commands respect and fear in equal measure. Machiavelli teaches us that the foundation of influence is not trust, it is control. To rely on loyalty is to give away your strength. To rely on structure and necessity is to make loyalty serve you. In the end, the Machiavellian stands alone, not because he rejects others, but because he refuses to be blinded by false devotion. He does not seek love, he seeks order. He does not hope for loyalty. He creates conditions where betrayal is too costly to consider. Machiavelli revealed one of the most uncomfortable truths about power. People rarely see the world as it is. They see what they are shown. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. This single observation defines the essence of control. To rule perception is to rule reality, because most people cannot separate appearance from truth. They build their beliefs on impressions, not evidence. A Machiavellian understands this and learns to shape what others see. He crafts an image so deliberate and consistent that people mistake it for authenticity. The true self remains hidden, moving behind the curtain, while the illusion stands before the crowd like a carefully polished statue. The Machiavellian never reveals all his thoughts. He speaks with precision, not emotion, and allows others to fill the silence with their assumptions. When people do not know what you truly are, they will imagine it, and their imagination often works in your favor. Mystery creates authority. People respect what they cannot fully understand. Those who talk too much or show too much lose their power because they become predictable. The one who controls perception knows when to be visible and when to disappear, when to speak with charm and when to remain silent. He uses reputation as both shield and sword. In politics and life, image can achieve what brute force cannot. A ruler who seems just can command obedience even when he is ruthless in secret. A man who seems wise can gain trust before he even proves it. Appearances open doors that honesty alone could never unlock. That is why Machiavelli advised leaders to build their image like an artist paints a portrait, each stroke intentional, each color chosen to evoke emotion. The appearance of virtue, courage, or wisdom must be maintained even when the reality contradicts it. Because in the eyes of the masses, perception is truth, and once that truth settles in their minds, it becomes almost impossible to erase. Controlling perception is not about deception for pleasure, it is about survival. In a world where others judge before they understand, you must present yourself strategically or be defined by them. A Machiavellian knows that honesty, when used carelessly, becomes weakness. Revealing too much truth exposes vulnerability. Therefore, he shows only what serves his goals. He lets others see kindness when he needs trust, firmness when he needs respect, and indifference when he needs control. Behind every expression lies calculation. His face tells the story others want to believe, while his mind writes a different one entirely. This mastery of image gives the Machiavellian an advantage in every arena. In leadership, it earns confidence. In negotiation, it creates leverage. In conflict, it breeds uncertainty in the opponent. To control how others see you is to shape how they act toward you. If they see strength, they hesitate to challenge. If they see calmness, they assume control. If they see conviction, they doubt their own. The power of perception lies not in changing reality but in bending belief. Once belief bends, behavior follows. Machiavelli also warned that this art requires discipline. One careless act can shatter the illusion built over years. A single emotional outburst, an unguarded word, or a visible fear can expose the truth beneath the mask. That is why the Machiavellian cultivates composure. His emotions exist, but they serve him, not the other way around. He trains his face to remain unreadable, his tone steady, his timing perfect. The goal is not to deceive everyone, it is to let no one see more than they should. Those who master this principle live with quiet authority. They do not need to shout or justify themselves. Their power is felt, not explained. Machiavelli understood that the strongest person in any room is not the one with the loudest voice, but the one whose image commands silent respect. To manipulate perception is not to live falsely. It is to live strategically in a world ruled by illusion. People will always see what they want to see. The Machiavellian simply decides what that will be. Machiavelli believed that the difference between a fool and a ruler lies in timing. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Power is not only about intelligence or strength, it is about knowing when to act. Every opportunity in life has a window, and those who hesitate lose it to those who move with precision. The Machiavellian learns to read the flow of events like a hunter studies his prey. He observes patiently, without rushing, but when the moment comes, he strikes without mercy or delay. In this balance between patience and action lies the essence of control. The fool acts out of emotion. He reacts when he feels threatened or excited, without considering consequence. He moves too soon or too late, driven by fear or hope. The Machiavellian, on the other hand, moves with calculation. He studies the terrain, the people, and the timing until his move becomes inevitable. When he acts, it seems effortless. Yet every step has been prepared long before. He does not fight unnecessary battles. He waits for the moment when his opponent is weakest, when victory is certain. To the outside world, this looks like luck, but it is strategy disguised as fate. Timing for Machiavelli was the hidden architecture of power. Acting too quickly exposes your intentions. Acting too late makes your actions useless. Therefore, a Machiavellian practices restraint as a form of strength. He does not let impatience destroy his advantage. He understands that silence can be louder than words and that inaction can be a form of dominance. By appearing still, he allows others to reveal themselves. While they exhaust their energy, he conserves his. When he finally decides to move, his decision cuts cleanly through confusion, and everyone else realizes too late that the game was already decided. This principle extends beyond politics into every form of leadership and life. Opportunities often appear disguised as chaos. Most people panic when faced with uncertainty, but the Machiavellian stays calm. He waits for clarity to emerge. He uses observation as a weapon, watching for mistakes others make in haste. The one who can wait without fear has already defeated half his rivals, for most people are slaves to their urgency. They need to act to feel important. The Machiavellian needs only to understand before he acts. The art of timing also means knowing when to withdraw. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every victory brings power. A wise man can lose a small fight to win a greater war. He knows when silence serves him better than confrontation. He knows when to let his enemies believe they have won, so they lower their guard. A fool fights to prove his pride. A Machiavellian fights only to achieve his purpose. By choosing the right moment, he multiplies the impact of his actions while minimizing his risk. Machiavelli's world was one of constant struggle, yet his teachings reveal an inner calm that comes from discipline. The Machiavellian does not waste energy chasing every opportunity. He creates opportunities by mastering patience. He waits like an archer with a drawn bow, focused, steady, and aware that one perfect shot is worth more than 100 reckless arrows. He knows that success is not about speed but precision. In life, those who rush often stumble, while those who wait intelligently rise when others fall. Power, therefore, is not just the ability to act, but the wisdom to act only when it matters. The fool moves because he feels he must. The Machiavellian moves because he knows he can. Every action has a ripple, and the wise man ensures his ripples become waves that carry him forward. Timing turns intelligence into dominance and patience into strength. To think, wait, and strike with certainty. This is the rhythm of the Machiavellian mind. Those who master it never chase victory. They let it come to them exactly when the world is ready to surrender. Machiavelli understood that power cannot coexist with dependency. To beg, to plead, or to chase is to surrender the authority that commands respect. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This statement is not an endorsement of cruelty, but a declaration of independence. Love makes you dependent on the affection of others, while fear ensures obedience without negotiation. The Machiavellian knows that the moment you start seeking approval, you give away control. People respect strength, certainty, and self-sufficiency, not the one who needs validation. True power comes from stillness, from the ability to stand alone and let others orbit around your will. The Machiavellian never begs for attention or loyalty. He lets his presence create its own gravity. In silence, he projects authority. In restraint, he demonstrates power. Those who constantly seek to be understood or loved expose their weakness. They show that their peace depends on others. A ruler, a leader, or any individual who wishes to rise must cultivate the art of self-reliance. When you no longer need people's approval, they begin to seek yours. When you no longer chase validation, you become the source of it. This reversal of power defines the Machiavellian approach to influence. Fear, in Machiavelli's philosophy, does not mean terror. It means respect enforced by consequence. People are unpredictable when guided by love, but highly predictable when guided by fear. Love changes with emotions. Fear remains steady as long as its source exists. The Machiavellian uses this principle not by oppressing others, but by making it clear that disrespect and betrayal carry a cost. Boundaries once enforced create stability. People must know that your silence is not weakness but warning. Those who think you can be easily persuaded will eventually test your limits. Those who sense strength will not dare. To command respect, one must appear calm under pressure. The Machiavellian rarely raises his voice or shows desperation. He knows that the louder a man speaks, the weaker his position often is. Instead, he uses silence as a weapon. A single pause, a slow response, or an unreadable expression can create more tension than anger ever could. Power is psychological. It lives in how others perceive your certainty. When you remain composed in conflict, you make others doubt their own ground. They begin to fear your patience, for they cannot predict what hides behind it. Machiavelli also warned that excessive kindness breeds contempt. When you give too freely, people stop valuing your gifts. When you forgive too often, they stop fearing your authority. To maintain influence, rewards must be measured, and forgiveness must have limits. The Machiavellian gives just enough to inspire loyalty, but never enough to create comfort. He knows that a man who is never tested forgets who holds the real power. The goal is balance, to be feared enough to command obedience and respected enough to prevent hatred. Fear without wisdom becomes tyranny. Love without control becomes servitude. Never begging also means never explaining too much. The more you justify your choices, the weaker they appear. A Machiavellian allows results to speak in his place. Those who question his decisions see that his methods work, and their doubts turn into quiet admiration. Power does not argue, it demonstrates. By standing firm and silent, you teach others that your approval must be earned, not requested. Over time, this creates an aura that precedes you. People behave differently in your presence because they know where the boundaries lie. In the end, Machiavelli's law of fear and respect is about mastering human instinct. People may not always love the strong, but they always follow them. The Machiavellian understands that peace and influence cannot be maintained by constant compromise. They are sustained by presence, composure, and consequence. He never begs, never chases, and never reveals need. Instead, he becomes the center of gravity others are drawn to. Fear is not his weapon, it is his shield. Respect is not demanded, it is commanded by the silent certainty that he will never depend on anyone's mercy. Power does not belong to those who wish for it, it belongs to those who understand it. The world may worship kindness, but it obeys confidence. It praises honesty, yet it follows strength. To become a Machiavellian is not to become cruel. It is to become clear-eyed, to see men as they are, not as they pretend to be. Appear good, act wisely. Control fear, not through tyranny, but through presence. Trust no promise that isn't backed by interest. Shape perception until the world bends to your image. Wait for your moment, and when it comes, strike once, clean and silent. Do not beg for respect. Command it. Do not chase power. Attract it. Because in the end, the true Machiavellian doesn't follow the world's rules. He rewrites them.